Everybody, and welcome to the 11th episode of The Climb. My name is Dylan Gilbert, and today I'm going to be talking about the camp that I went on last week with Gamechangers Australia. We took 27, about 14-year-olds, 24 boys and 3 girls, to a leadership in sport at Essendon Footy Club, and it was super exciting, very rewarding. It's always fun to take people through a journey, and from when we started to when we finished in 3 full days was a massive change, and it was the first time I've done anything like that before, which was super exciting for me. I learned a lot about myself, about the people I was working with, and about dealing with people in high energy, fatigue situations. It takes a lot of different people to get together, all with the common outcome of bettering these kids in sport, in life, and I forgot the third thing, but there was 3 things that we were working on. So a couple of things up here behind me that I thought were more, that I took out of it the most. So I've got a beard because I spent 2 weeks in Perth. I just got back from a couple of weeks in Perth as well, which is fantastic. Caught up with everyone that I love and miss, which is fantastic. And now ready for a massive second half of the year. But oh my gosh, so here's my last 2 weeks. From 2 weeks ago on Saturday, I finished my game of footy, and then finished at 5 o'clock, got changed, had a shower, went straight to the airport, and flew out. My flight left at 7, and then I arrived in Perth at 9 p.m. time, 9:15. Stayed in Perth till Tuesday morning, the following Tuesday, 10 days, and then got on the plane at 7 o'clock in the morning and flew to Melbourne. Got off the plane at 12:30. Got off the plane at 1:30. Picked up from the airport, driven to Essendon Footy Club. Went to Windy Hill, spent the day at Windy Hill. So that was Tuesday lunchtime, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday with the kids. So late nights, early mornings. They weren't going to bed any time before 1:30, and then we were up at pre-7, so very, very sleep deprived, especially after my 10 days in Perth of catching up with everyone and running on empty. Learned a lot about myself, and I'm a very simple man. I need food and sleep, and I'm happy. So take one of the things away from me, and I'm not the same person. So it was. That was it. Then Friday night we finished with the kids. We went to the Essendon footy game, watched St Kilda, great game, and then got home after midnight. Got up, played footy on Saturday. Was so unprepared, but got through it. And then Saturday night I fell asleep on the couch at 7:10, and then woke up at 10:30. Went to bed, slept all the way through till 9 o'clock. Got up and did the recovery session, and then another day of I was just so sleep deprived. I slept like I was a baby for the last 2 nights, which is fantastic. Really needed it. But anyway, back to the camp. So what I learned in that camp for the 4 days that I was there was it takes all different types of leadership, and different styles of leadership draw in different personality types and different people. There is a few different. I know of 4 different leadership styles, and usually people fit into different categories depending on their personality traits and their different leadership mechanisms. And different people relate to different leaders on different levels. So in a group situation like that, you need to have the different, like the compassionate, the selfless, the influencing, and the direct leaders, and together. Different, hopefully cohesively it all comes together. So that was something that I learned and took away from quite a bit, which was what I'm going to be working on intrinsically, personally, for quite a while, for the next few months now, is going to be how do I become a better leader in different areas of my life to attract more people? So that's going to be a challenge. Just constant growth, always learning different, or just learning, and what you do with that knowledge and how you put that into practice is the hard part. So yeah, that's a little bit about the leadership, listening. Number 2, and clarity, that they go sort of hand in hand with messages, with groups of people, and trying to get people to follow instructions. That is to be clear and concise messaging. You talk about SMART goals, but that's I believe that's it's got to be very specific, clear, outlined, timely, realistic. You've got to try and getting. I completely ruined that acronym, by the way, but in my head it was making sense. When you're giving people instructions to get towards a common outcome, it's really, really important to have clarity in your messaging, and then have attentive listeners, which is something that you've got to be aware of in the room when you're trying to get your messaging across. And something that I've learned quite recently is, if it's a super, super important message that you're trying to get across to somebody, and you want to make sure that they are hearing the right message, after you've finished putting forward what you think, the words that come out of your mouth aren't always the way they sink in someone else's ear. So if you're finished, a 3-minute education session, trying to get them to learn or listen to what you're trying to say, at the end of it say, what did you hear in that? And then get them to repeat back to you what they thought that the message was, and then you can either say yes, no, or almost just a little bit of a tweak. So yeah, that's something I've learned quite recently as well. I'm trying to keep this one quite short and punchy. Sticking to schedule, very important, especially when working with people, dealing with expectations as well. I found myself, because I'd just come off a 10-day trip at Perth, and then dealing with the 2-hour time gap as well. My sleep was out of whack. I was very sleep deprived. I love my sleep, and when I wasn't getting it, I was getting quite frustrated. But you've got to stick to a schedule, a timeline, because then people they get ready for what you're trying to roll out. And that's important when you're clearly identifying what you're trying to get across, and sticking to it as well. So that's quite important. And if you are going to go over, ask for confirmation if that's okay. Does anybody in the room have extracurricular activities that they need to get to? Because if so, that's completely fine. I just like to wrap this up effectively, which might take another 15 minutes of your time. Is that okay? When you ask that question, it could work better, or it would work better, rather than just presuming or just not wrapping it up effectively at all at the end of it. And finally, managing people is the whole game of business, right? Which is something that I'm constantly working on, because I know that up until now and currently I've been either you love me or you hate me kind of person, and that's all. I've always thought, that's fine. I don't have to please everybody. I'd much rather I know who my friends are, and I don't need to have the biggest friendship circle. I just need to follow my dreams and passions and goals and that sort of thing. But when you're trying to lead a group of people for a common outcome or a common goal, then it's really important to be a likable, influential figure that can that will. It's very hard to work for a boss if one day I become a boss. It's very hard to work for a boss if you think he's an arsehole, or you hate what he's doing, or you don't believe in what he stands for. So for me, it's important to try and grow into the person to one day become good at those things, or at least better than what I am today. So yeah, with those things, I think that that we've basically covered it. It's there was a it, no, I'll leave that bit out. I was thanks for listening. I will be in touch later this week about. I might go into a bit more detail in leadership or energy levels, or how I dealt with sleep deprivation or something. But yeah, this channel is more of for me to look back on in years' time to make sure that, or to see how I came to the decisions that I did at the time. So that's the basis of why I'm starting this. And if anything happens with it, fantastic. If not, no big deal. Thanks, guys. Speak to you soon.